Hello everyone. As some of you may be able to tell by the contents of my YouTube channel, I've played video games for a large portion of my life, and one of my favorites has to be Minecraft. I mean, just look at my channel. Now, when I first started playing this game, I played it like, most normal players, where you would just survive, build up a house, maybe if you're crazy enough, go kill the Ender Dragon, and then kind of lose interest and walk away. But I didn't really lose interest. What happened to me is I started growing into the technical portion of the game. Now, the technical portion of this game has a community where they design builds, it takes forever, and then they build it, and it also takes forever. But surprisingly enough, this is actually not where my interest for huge technical projects have come from. It actually came from computer programming that I've done in the past. I distinctly remember when the rhythm bot for Discord was shutting down. Me and my friends were pretty upset. We used it all the time, and we really did not want to lose its functionality. If you consider functionality looping Juan by paternity for 16 hours straight. So I actually decided to try to program a bot myself, and it worked. It was an absolute buggy mess, but if you had enough patience, you might be able to play a singular song. Around the time I finished this bot, I was playing a ton of survival games, one of them being Osiris New Dawn. Now, I enjoyed this game a lot, and I still do, but it feels very constricted, and it doesn't feel like you can do too much in it. There's like a hard limit, and I feel like a lot of games I play have this. So I actually decided I wanted to try to make my own game. Now, I could have done something simple to start out, like a 2D Flash game or something like that. But with my 2 weeks of experience I got from making a buggy, broken Discord bot, that would have been far too simple. So I decided to make a game that would combine some of my favorite games I've played. So what I really wanted is, I wanted a space game, and I wanted it to be survival based, kind of like Osiris New Dawn. But then Osiris New Dawn was very limiting and it didn't feel very expansive. So I actually kind of wanted it to be infinitely generated, like Minecraft. Full universe, infinitely generated. But then I also wanted it to be pretty realistic, kind of like Kerbal Space Program and how it has a very realistic physics engine and rocketry simulation. I kind of wanted to have you be able to build rockets and launch it into space, and then from space you can go to other planets and other solar systems and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't want these rockets just to be in present day technology level. I wanted it to be far higher. So this is where a couple of ideas from EVE Online come from. They have warp drives, and I thought that would be a great way to make travel faster. I also wanted to add other propulsions that are more futuristic. And I also really wanted to have a large multiplayer aspect to this game. Probably not something like EVE Online where there's one massive universe, but more something like Minecraft where you can have a ton of people on one server and they can all be playing in the same universe. And if that description of a game doesn't sound complicated enough already, I wanted to make the graphics look fantastic too. But now with that extremely simple idea of a game down, I decided I was gonna make my own game engine. No, I'm not that crazy. I decided to use a game engine that was already around. But I actually did have to choose it at the time. And really the only two ones I really knew about was Unity and Unreal Engine. And keep in mind, this was before Unreal Engine 5 with the Lumen lighting engine and all that other crazy stuff. I was kind of torn because Unreal Engine, in my opinion, looked way better than Unity graphically. But then I saw that Unreal Engine only used C++. And I know, C++ is an absolutely amazing language, it performs extremely good, but I hate it. I have tried programming in it, and granted it hasn't been very long, but oh my god, I hated programming in that language. So I looked at Unity and saw that it has C# compatibility, and I decided that's the one I'm gonna do. Now, with some further research, I learned that Unity's C# is actually not any slower than programming in C++ because of the way it does some magic behind the scenes and actually compiles it into C++, and it performs exactly the same. I don't know how they did it, but impressive, I'll say that now. So with the choice of Unity now done and dusted, I started working on the game around February of 2022. In these early stages, I was really working on trying to figure out how Unity worked, how meshes worked, and how I could use Perlin noise to randomly generate a world. And I was actively following a tutorial by Sebastian Legg, hope I'm pronouncing that right, on how to do procedural infinite world generation. And I did get it working, and it was fine. It definitely needed improvements, but then I realized if I'm gonna make a space game, everything's on planets, it can't be flat, it has to be a circle. So that all had to be thrown away. It was very upsetting. But then I actually saw another tutorial series from Sebastian Leg on procedural planet generation. I'm like, this is perfect. Until I realized that it's meant for really small stuff and not big stuff. It was still useful though. Now, I didn't really get far into making the planets themselves because I realized that with the size they're gonna have to be, I'm gonna need a very, very powerful level of detail system to get them to work. So I basically just made them blue spheres. And the algorithm for it wasn't that complicated. Basically, to make this sphere, what you do is you make 6 faces of a cube and then you normalize all the points on it so that they're the same distance from the center and you get a sphere. But after completing this, things were going to get a lot more complicated. Now, these quote-unquote planets were really nice, but I wanted to simulate them using physics. So I had to make a physics engine to make this work. After about, I'd say 4 weeks or so, I finally did get it working. But after that, I was kind of really burnt out and progress on it slowed down tremendously until at some point I kind of just stopped working on it. But then something happened in December of 2022. The AI ChatGPT came into existence and I learned about it. And for those of you who are not aware of what it is a really powerful artificial intelligence that can help you do quite a lot of things. One of them being programming. Me realizing the potential of the AI, I decided I'm going to start using it to help me make the game. And that's exactly what started happening. So I started working on it again. Now, I haven't gotten too much done since then because the stuff I'm trying to do is still definitely the most complicated stuff in the game so far. Like, for instance, the level of detail system is something I've been working on recently. And that leads us to today. Now, this is the game in the state it is now. It is nowhere near completion or even playability, but I still think it would be good to see the entire thing right now. So, we have our star in the center, and I have some stars on the outside. If you can actually see maybe there's a planet zipping around. If I zoom out, you can see here is the orbital lines correctly displayed with the planets orbiting it. Now, this is not actually the real speed the planets would be moving at, because you can see the simulation speed is at 100,000 times speed. So I'm going to set it something lower, like 60, and then restart the game. And you'll see how much it actually moves. Yeah, not at all. It doesn't move actually at all. It looks like it's not moving, but it actually is. Here, I can prove it. You can see that the planet is moving. Here are its coordinates changing. But it really doesn't look like it's moving, and that's just because that's the scale of space. Everything's so far away. It can be moving as fast as it wants, but it's got to go really far. But back to the game. If you click on one of the planets, you can actually zoom in and see the planet. The UI nicely disappears, so you can get a nicer view of it. And here is our beautiful blue sphere. Yeah, it doesn't look great. I mean, it's just a blue sphere. Prefer it to look like a planet. But yeah, that's about it, actually. I know, seems extremely underwhelming. And you'd be right, there's not much to the game right now. I still need to add a lot to and all that kind of stuff. I've been working on the level of detail system so I can make the planets look better. And I've also been working on an atmospheric shader, which was shown by Sebastian Leg, but I'm not going to bother showing you those right now because they're nowhere near completion. But on another note, I will be making more devlogs on this of stuff I've already completed, so I'll go more in depth about like the physics engine or maybe how I generate the solar system, something like that. But that's where I'm going to leave it here. This is the end of the introduction. So with that, I'll see you in the next devlog.